Welcome everybody to the Monday, June 8th regular city council meeting. Should we say the pledge? You guys want to say the pledge? Let's do it. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America,
to the republic for which it
which stands
one nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty and
justice for all.
All right, thank you. First of all, there's some additions to the agenda. I'm going to read them off here. Additional bills for approval. Letter dated June 4th, 2020 from High Tech for the new fire station remodel. Gordian Group work order, scope of work and price proposals for the new fire hall. Plans for the fire station and a press release from Crow Wing County regarding the recycling program. Okay, first is the consent calendar. Has everybody had a chance to review the consent calendar?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, let's have an addition for the, a motion for the additions.
So moved.
I'll second it there.
Tara, is this a roll call?
Darn, I thought I wouldn't have to speak.
Oh, come on.
All right. Nevin,
Yeah.
Andrews,
Yes.
Hecox,
Yes.
Herzog,
Yes.
Schrupp.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Okay, next is the consent calendar. Everybody had a chance to look at that?
Yes.
Any comments? We have a motion to approve.
Aaron, I'll move that we approve the consent agenda.
John, I'll second.
Roll call,
Yep.
Andrews,
Yes.
Herzog,
Yes.
Schrupp,
Yes.
Nevin,
Yes.
Hecox.
Yeah.
Motion carries.
Okay, next is public forum. How do we handle public forum here? Do you have any write-ins?
I have had nothing via email, but there might be someone on the line that wants to speak.
Does anybody want to take advantage of public forum?
And we have asked people to post in the Zoom group chat if they want to participate in open forum. So I see nothing as of right now.
And
Okay,
if they want to raise their hand, they probably could, but I don't see anybody doing that either.
okay, so we'll move on then to the mayor and council members report. First one is an update on the new city hall project. I see we've got both Andys here. Are you guys by phone? Andy Picard?
Yes.
Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you want to give us, you and I had a conversation a little bit earlier, but do you want to recap where we stand with City Hall?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you all know, we're getting very close. We had a few little items that we had to finish up on the new city hall. The one of which was the fire controller, and that is currently being installed and wired today. We will have that operational and tested by the end of this. So everything on that regard, interior finishes and cleaning and all of that will be wrapped up by the end of this week.
Okay, and you told me that the fire marshal has given his approval of it already?
Yes, the Ralph Peterson, the state fire marshal, has reviewed the site. So now he does not, we just need to do a test, a flush test on the system. And I believe he's okay with Chip doing that. So we should be good to do that in-house with Chip and his assistance. And you know, if everything's successful, we'd be able to move ahead with that.
Chip, can I get you to come on too? Do you have any plans of doing that? Or when do you plan on doing it?
I was told that probably later in the week we'll be testing that.
Okay. So in regards to that too, I talked to Andy Picard quite a bit about when can the staff start moving files and moving things into the building, and he indicated that towards the end of the week, we should be able to, it should be secure enough to be able to do that. Can you comment on that, Andy?
Yes, by the end of this week, if that sprinkler test passes, at that time, we would be able to start occupying that building. So furniture, again, though, is lagging. It is currently scheduled for next Thursday, which I believe is the 18th, for install.
Do you
So that's
have
the
any-
only caveat behind that is, and we're trying to improve that date, but some of that furniture got held up with some of the COVID issues.
Do you have any idea what the install is gonna take? Is that a couple day deal or?
They gave themselves a 2-day window. We don't have a lot, as far as we can strategically, select the priority items, whether that be desks and cubicles, and assemble those so that we can start installing the computer systems and that are needed.
Okay, so I talked to Chief Lee this afternoon too, trying to coordinate this so we don't lose another week on this move-in. And I guess we'll have to see how it goes, but I think most critically, if the admin staff could start moving files and, whatever they can the latter part of the week, I would recommend that. Get
Yeah, I
some-
think that should definitely be doable, as long
So
as
they
long
can
as we
lock
get
up
Chip over there and get that system tested.
It will be secure and the key fobs for all the doors and all that stuff is working, so that it should be secure, correct?
Correct. We should do we'll set up a meeting later this week and do kind of a commissioning and check on those systems.
And that will be with staff?
Yeah, we could definitely do that. Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Are we gonna have like a final walkthrough of the building?
Yeah, we should do that before we occupy, walk through it and just, we can do a little bit of training as well at that time, just so everyone gets familiar if we're starting to occupy.
Do you anticipate that being the end of the week this week?
Yeah, if that works for everyone, we should just plan for it. I
Yeah.
can send out an invite.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
beginning of next week might be better for us.
So you don't want to try to get any files or anything over there this week, Shar?
Well, it doesn't, no. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's Friday or Monday.
Well,
Monday would work better for us.
okay. So maybe, Andy, maybe Monday morning it'd be a good time to do the walkthrough and then they could kind of do what they want to do.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, any other comments or questions on how the hall's going? Okay, now, next we've got a pay application from High Tech. Pay application number 9. $239,571. Which, if I read this right, it's leaving a balance of 151, is that correct?
That's correct. About 150,000 remaining. Yep.
Okay. Any questions or comments to that?
Where are we at on the total project?
Well, $3,015,000 is the way, I mean, it's on that page, Gary. On the back of that pay application page. 2,949 was a contract. We had $65,000 in change orders. So my understanding it's $3,015,000, 206.
And we won't go over that.
Well, if we want to look at the total project, the way I'm looking at it and the way we bonded for it was we looked at the road and the land acquisition. So total project cost through this payment and change orders is about 3.5 million to date.
0.5 million, Mike, explain that.
3.5 million.
Oh, 3.5, okay, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's right.
And what we budgeted except for the change order.
So that was the sewer, the road, and the land.
Correct.
Yeah.
And after this payment, we'll have $151,400 and some dollars remaining to pay them. And that would include any retainage we would have for a period.
Yeah, I don't think there's been much retainage, but that will be the balance due, correct? Andy, I guess maybe you should answer that.
Yeah, that is correct. Yep. We have not billed for the month of June.
Well, then I'll move that we make the payment of, what was it here? $239,571.86 is my motion.
Okay,
I second it, Andrews.
we've got a motion and a second. Go ahead, Char.
Nevin,
Yes.
Schrupp,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
Peacock,
Yes.
Herzog.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Is that it? Next is B, a discuss procedure for opening City Hall to the public. Now, Shar, you had given me the guidelines for public entering City Hall,
I had given those to everybody. It's in the packet.
so everybody sees that.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, one thing I would like to add to that is with the governor's latest guidance from last week, they've come out with some updated guidance for critical businesses, including cities, to follow. Now, the Department of Labor and Health and Deeds have until the 15th of this month to update their guidance is what they expect to see. And so by the 29th of this month, cities are expected to adopt a resolution along with the formal plan. Now, Chip has already provided us with most of that information. So we're ready to go right now, and we've got a draft of it out on our website, I believe. So what we'll need to do between the 15th is, once we know if there's any updates to that guidance specific to us, we'll need to modify our plan and then come back to the council and ask for a formal approval of that by the end of this month. Okay, so that means a very quick special meeting before the 29th, but after the 15th.
And how far after the 15th do you think, Mike, before you have to take a look at it, I would imagine, huh?
Well, we'll look at it as soon as we know there's no further changes, but different departments at the state have until the 15th to update their requirements. So we're already, we feel pretty good about our plan right now. Chip's done a great job. Eric too, putting that together. That's our backbone policy. But on item D1B, what you have in front of you to look at, those are the guidelines that will be posted on our doors for how we do business once we are open. Okay?
Okay, and we're not in any position to open before the 15th or 18th or whatever that might be anyway.
Well, we could. Well, not legit.
Because of the move.
Yeah, we're looking at, Andy said furniture the 18th to the 19th. So we really need that in place so we can install the phone system. We've got a whole network to move. So there will be a short period of downtime while we're back up and running so we can serve people again. I mean, we're serving people now, but we do need to move technology. That takes a little bit to do.
Yeah, okay.
So Mike, we're probably looking at the week, later on the week of the 22nd, we'll be able to hold that meeting.
Likely, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other comments?
Did the council have any comments on those guidelines for opening City Hall?
It looks good to me.
Okay,
I
thought they're great.
okay. Thank you.
I've got a couple of course, Shar. You say only one person at the counter at a time in the admin, planning and zoning area. Is that for each counter or at the counters? There's 3 counters.
It depends how far away they can be spaced. If there's, 2 people, a husband and wife at the counter, then we probably don't want someone at the next counter.
Okay,
We'll just have to see. how it spaces out.
That'll be a work in progress.
Yes.
Okay, well, I guess we'll see what that meeting brings. Okay, everybody done with that?
Yep.
Next, we have a proposal. for-
I think we need a motion, Dave.
Uh, Do
No?
we need a motion for that? No.
No.
That's so on here.
We can't yet. That was the discussion.
Yeah, we're putting it off. We're delaying it, so.
Okay.
Okay, next, proposal from High Tech for fire station remodel. I guess, Andy's, I'll let you guys take off with it. I guess I will say that Chip and I met with Andy Picard earlier, or last week, I guess, and kind of went over some of the details of it. So. I don't, Andy, can you start this out?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
So with the fire hall remodel, we've went through with Chip and Mayor Nevin and kind of, dialed in a building that'll work for the fire department. And, obviously this is a renovation. So we went up there and have verified several times on site, walking through the building, getting measurements, talking about things. And I think we came up with a good plan that is going to get the fire department what they need for several different areas. Anyways, with the process, as we talked about before, we have the work order, which is generated through Gordian and Sourcewell. That's a line item list of all the parts and pieces that it takes to build the building and to do the remodel, from wood studs up to electrical and plumbing and all of that. And then we also included a proposal that kind of narrates and summarizes everything of what we've included and the discussions we've had from the last project, the City Hall project. We've learned that it may be beneficial to kind of identify some of these items because they're not very easy to find in the Gordian Sourcewell work order. So I went through the list and put together a 4-page proposal that just hits the high points and more the detail that I think is hopefully a little bit easier to understand what is and is not included and the way that we're looking at this. So I don't know, Dave, if there was any clarification on anything or what else you want to talk through there.
Okay, there's a couple clarifications, but there's one thing I noticed after our meeting when you and Chip and I sat in there. And that is the wall on the administrative, the south end of the building that sticks above the roof. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Now, early on, we had talked about removing that and putting an overhang on that wall. And that got kind of dropped.
Yeah, as I understand, Mayor, is that I know we're having some water issues off that end. What we feel the issue is there's some flashing and stuff that is needed on top of that brick. That water is getting into that wall.
Yeah.
So we have proposed to, we're doing all new siding other than that brick. That brick is staying. The rest of the siding on the whole building would be tore off and redone.
Right, and then you could flash the brick that you're
Yep.
talking about, but I think there's kind of an unnecessary element up on that roof sticking up there, and that's why it was mentioned early on our walkthrough to remove that, and then it got lost.
Sure.
I still think it's, I don't know that that adds any aesthetics to the building to have that sticking up there. And personally, I'd kind of like to see it gone.
Yeah, it could definitely be removed, and there isn't, cost-wise, there isn't a whole lot to remove that.
So, and then, the green roofing, you have to put 3 feet on it or whatever that overhang ends up being.
Right.
And, the color match shouldn't be an issue, should it? I don't know that that fades that much.
It'll never be perfect, but, we're doing a color match for the training tower and some adjustments to the roof, or that the hose tower, and the adjustments to the roof on that side for the snow load and some of that on that corner.
Yeah. Okay, so your comment to that is that it's not too big of a deal to do that. I think we certainly talked about it early on. But explain to me exactly what not that big of a deal means.
I guess with any renovation, you never know exactly what you're getting into, but, we have some modifications to that roof. We have some investigation included. Most of it was the water issues and some of that we were dealing with. So we have some items identified in there that are included, so, it could fall and fit into some of that, where we have some work already associated to that roof.
So we're kind of dancing around here. Are you telling me you're going to do it?
We can do it we can take that off there. We can have that included in there. Yes.
I just would like to see it so we didn't have, it's just unnecessary maintenance, I think. And then Chip, I think you and I got to jump in here and explain to everybody that we took some stuff out. We're trying to hold the budget. And the budget it's about $1.3 million right now. We had about $1.4 million budgeted for it. We've already given High Tech $100,000 for designing. So we're really at budget. In order to keep it there, we had to pull furniture out, reuse some of the existing furniture, window shades they had in there, lockers. Chip says he's got a source to get some lockers and appliances. I'm not sure what other things we did. But I just want to be clear that this, there are going to be some other charges here. I think Chip and I would both agree that it's going to probably be in the $50,000 range.
I agree.
That are elected things that we have pulled out of here just to try to keep the budget where we had set it. So I guess I'll open it up to any comments and questions.
Andy, this is Mike. Can you explain to the group how retainage works on this type of project?
Yeah, so we actually didn't have any retainage on this new city hall. And what we've done, instead of holding actual retainage, again, what we talked about was we still have that $150,000 outstanding of that hasn't been billed. And that's, you guys, we're going to occupy that building next week and we haven't even billed for it. So we're kind of, because Gordian doesn't have the true retainage portion on these work orders, we've just been working together with Mike and the city staff to be responsible in what we're invoicing. We're not over invoicing anything. We're kind of just working together, making sure that, you guys get what you want. We're not overbilling for it, and just kind of working through it that way.
So indirectly, we've got $151,000 at a balance that'll be paid after we are moved in, and that's on completion.
Right.
So it isn't really an identified retainage, but you're saying because we're pay as you go, automatically there.
Yep.
And that's what you're planning on doing on the remodel portion too? Same
Correct.
thing?
Yep.
Mike, you got any questions or concerns about that? No, we're good? Okay, I guess I just want to mention too that Chip and I both agreed that we've got about $50,000 in additional costs for some items we pulled out. And the items we were able to pull out of the contract was about 100,000. So for whatever that means, but
Andy, this is Dave Schrupp. I have a couple questions. A few.
Sure.
I was somewhat confused when I saw your June 3rd letter. Now, you included on the very front of it $97,350 for engineering services. Is that good, Seth?
I'm not following that letter.
There's a schedule of values that was included in the June 3rd. You sent it to Mayor Nevin. Your
Oh,
price
the
was
breakdown.
1,298. That's it. And then we got another one today that was 769 more.
No, so that is actually, that is the Sourcewell Gordian fee. And I know it's confusing because our estimating program breaks that into the engineering design side.
So, but let me just throw out a few questions here. When I look at that breakdown compared to the Sourcewell detail, like you had site work demolition, it was 36,285. When I look at the Sourcewell detail, we're up to 78,464.
Yeah, these two are never going to marry. It's more just a so the Sourcewell software is set up to, it all kind of balances itself out. Because the Sourcewell is across the nation, it's a nationwide deal that they cover. In certain areas of the country, it's cheaper to do certain things. So it's more of a checks and balances process than anything. We end up typing and entering in to their system, and then we back our number and change it to match theirs. So we get it close on our estimates, and then we end up adjusting our number to meet theirs.
We'll see, like on the plumbing, on the back page, the plumbing jumped from 33,000 to 58. HVAC jumped from 184 to 206. Looks like they're just sticking their fees on top of all these numbers. They're taking all of that general requirements and professional and tacking it on.
Yes, so the Sourcewell is a built up, each division is a built up number. You're spot on, Dave. They don't identify that exact fee.
Yeah, and I think you're struggling to explain it, and I would understand that. One difference I did note, and I'd like everyone to be aware of it, is that when you look at the detail quote from Sourcewell, there's a multiplier in there. And the multiplier takes what their material and labor costs are going to be. They multiply all of those in every line item by 1.3692. It's a markup, okay? I get that. They have to have money to stay in business. What I would like to have them do is use the same markup that they used on the city hall and the police department, which is 1.34. And that will drop about $30,000 in the cost that we can use that money for something else. I don't understand why that's there. And then the other thing is, I don't know what is the percentage that's not filled in that NPP gets it on this stuff.
I don't know to the answer to your last question as far as the
But I
percentage.
think if we're going to approve this, I'd like to have the markup only be 1.34.
So Dave, the markup is The City Hall was a 2019 project. Being this is a 2020. So these percentages and markups were previously bid, publicly bid to Gordian. And that's where that number generates from. So because it was a 2019 City Hall and now the fire department work order is in 2020, that's what's generating the increase.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm just asking you to communicate to consider that you take 1.34.
Sure, I can run that through and talk to Gordian. I don't know though that's flexible because it is bid and it's a hard bid process. So I don't think
It wasn't hard bid before, that's all I'm saying.
the fee was, and we can't move that because it suffices the public hard bid process. And if we adjusted that, then it would no longer be within the regulations of the bidding process. That makes any sense?
I understand what you're saying. I don't know that we've ever seen that documentation.
Right, and that bid was between High Tech and Gordian and or Sourcewell. So that's how we become a Sourcewell qualified contractor. We have to bid to get one of 2 contractors or 3 contractors in the area that are selected as part of the bid process to be able to be a Sourcewell contractor.
That's all I have for now.
Anybody else have anything? No? So do we entertain a motion to approve this, or where do you want to go with it?
I so move that we go with it.
Good job, John. Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second for that motion?
Aaron, I'll second the motion.
All right, thank you, Aaron. Go ahead, Chuck.
Herzog,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
Peacocks,
Yes.
Schrupp,
No discussion on this?
you have time for discussion.
Yeah,
Could we ask if they'd accept a 1.34?
we could. I don't know that Andy's in a position to represent another company and do that. We could certainly ask him to proceed with it. Is that a fair statement, Andy?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, to be honest. Like I say, I would lean towards that. No, they can't because of the bidding process. But again, I can't answer for Gordian on that behalf.
I don't disagree with you, Mr. Schrupp, but I mean, it is a new year and
The whole thing's confusing. That's what's happening.
yeah.
So if we hold it up just for the 1.34, then we can't start.
Yeah, well, it's going to delay it. Yeah.
Why don't we just have Andy ask, because he can always write a change order to reduce the price if they agree to do it.
We could definitely do that. I could start an email
Right.
direct to Gordian and copy you guys on it so that they respond and we can address it that way.
Right?
I would appreciate that.
Yeah, that would make, I'd agree with that. If you can add that to the,
To the motion?
yes, thank you.
John,
I
did you
think,
have a motion?
I think John made the motion, so he needs to say yes.
Yes, I'm okay with that.
And I second, I agree with it also.
Any more discussion?
I'm sorry,
No.
could I chirp in 1 second?
Sure.
What was that percentage that we were looking for? 1.34, is that correct?
Yeah, that is what was on the very detailed Gordian quotation.
Sure.
For the
Sounds-
city hall building.
Yep. Not a lot of money, but it's money that we could use.
It probably is not going to happen because it's a different year, but it's a good thought.
Okay, Shar.
Nevin,
Yes.
Schrupp,
Yes?
Andrews,
Yes.
Peacocks,
Yes.
Herzog,
Yes.
motion carries.
Get to work, Andes.
That's right.
Okay. Now we've got an approval of a resolution from the Pell Foundation, a donation of $1,332.50.
Dave,
Yeah,
I think we're going to still talk about opening city buildings, offices, whatever. I think TJ was gonna jump in here.
okay. Go ahead, TJ.
Yeah, so as many of you know, phase 3 will be in effect on Wednesday, and that changes what we are able to do at our facility here at the community center. Jane and I spent the majority of the day trying to come up with updates and procedures that we can put in place to put the puzzle pieces together so we can eventually open up and provide all the programs and services we've offered before COVID. So we don't have anything set in stone yet. We have a really, really, really good start. I'm guessing we're right around 90% there with the finalization of our reopening plan. And my hope is that we start opening for certain programs and say the fitness center sometime this week.
Good job, TJ. I look forward to you getting open.
Yeah, we're all excited to see some familiar faces once again.
Yeah.
TJ, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Are there any programs for the kids or anything that could use some money or assistance that are happening?
Right now we have a program through PAL, the PAL Foundation, the summer reading program. We're looking into some other avenues that we could provide activities or programs for the kids because they have been out of school and they're looking for things to do. We are looking at reopening up our programming for baseball after July 4th weekend. So we're getting the ball rolling. And when it comes to right now, what we have in place for kids programming, we don't need any additional funding, but that could change in the future.
The reason, get back to me, because the reason I'm asking is I'm a director on the Lions and we were looking to see if there was something that we could help or assist with the kids in town. Okay?
Yep, we'll be in touch.
All right. Get a hold of me.
Yep. That's all I have unless you have any questions for me.
No, I encourage you to get opened somewhat. We got to get back to whatever normal is going to be. Okay. That it, Chair?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, the next one is accepting the resolution from the Pell Foundation for $1,332.52. The intended purpose is the community gardens, patio garden, and library expenses. So I want to thank the Pell Foundation for that donation. And I guess that probably takes a motion, huh?
I move that we accept.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Go ahead, Char.
Herzog,
Yes.
Peacocks,
Yes.
Nevin,
Yes.
Schrupp,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, Mike, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. At our last council meeting, I gave all of you a heads up on the changes to the recycling program. Now, then the county has released a press release from last week. And there's basically 4 sites that are open in the county right now. One is the Crow Wing County Landfill, Ideal Transfer Station, the city of Nisswa, and Crow Wing Township. Now, what the county is moving to in their correspondence is they're probably looking at 2 sites next year, one of which is the landfill, and the other one is the Ideal Transfer Station. Now, I'm going to ask Eric Logie from Waste Partners here in a minute to talk about his correspondence, but just some background for the council and those listening. Because right now, the city's ordinance with respect to garbage pickup and recycling basically says that you have to have garbage pickup. It does not address recycling. So what the issue is with the loss of recycling locally, people either have to drive someplace for it, or we could change our ordinance, license our garbage haulers, and require them to facilitate recycling. In fact, that's really what the county is favorable towards, because their view, if you read their letter, it's the last item is one of the additions. You know, they talk about that's where they seem to have better success is with the curbside. So with that introduction, go ahead, Eric.
Sure, you did a good job there. Thank you. My name is Eric Logie with Waste Partners. Been a garbage man about 40 years now, 20 years with my own business. This is the second community I've gone in front of to ask them to do this. Actually, third. There's one in Cass County as well. But once you understand the reason for needing this, the decision is somewhat easy. Understanding it sometimes doesn't always make sense to people who don't normally deal with government entities that create rules that say that you can't charge more for recycling than you do for trash. So that's what the state law is, that my customers can't pay more for recycling than they do if they only had garbage. So I don't have the choice of being able to charge recycling customers more for it. Some of you may have bills that have it broken down on your statement. That is still the same price as what you get for just trash or for trash and recycling. It's just that a portion becomes non-taxable. It's actually a form that the government uses Minnesota, state of Minnesota, to encourage recycling. So when you take a $8 portion of your normal $25 bill and you don't tax it, you save the 9 3/4% tax on trash when you do that. So when Cross Lake Roll-Off left out of town, and what is happening right now is Blue Lakes Disposal was sold to Waste Management. Waste Management over the last 2 months has been basically canceling their curbside recycling programs because of the additional expense. What I am worried about, because I provide recycling to probably I provide the trash service to probably close to 85% of Cross Lakes residents. If for some reason my competition doesn't offer recycling and I have recycling, it's about a $10 a month difference. And because I can't charge more for just the people who recycle, I have to charge the same across the board. That puts me at a huge competitive disadvantage. And thus the reason why the county and now me by caveat want to do the same thing, basically make an ordinance that any hauler providing residential services in Cross Lake provide curbside recycling services. That way, the real risk is if for some reason a competitor would start offering services $10 less per month than what I have, I would have to drop the recycling as well, just to be able to make sure I maintain a competitive pricing. I'm not asking for anything more. All the companies that service Cross Lake currently also have recycling services. They're just choosing not to do them or discouraging them. And all I'm asking for is an ordinance to keep everybody on a level playing field if you consider the curbside recycling of value. We enjoy providing the service. We believe it's part of our industry. There's some of those who don't necessarily agree with that today, but I think it's a great community service. With the loss of the drop location, you no longer have that as an option. And thus, I thought it was good timing to potentially consider this for for an ordinance. Any questions?
John Andrews here. I think it's a brilliant idea and a no-brainer. I think we should do it.
I agree with you, John. This is Aaron.
Brad, Person, do you have anything from your side? Any comment on that? You gotta unmute, Brad. You're muted.
All right. One other possibility, and I'm not saying it's a better possibility, but you could also require all the garbage contractors to bid and just have one garbage company in the city of Cross Lake, and of course with that require recycling, and then that would also avoid duplication of garbage trucks on our city roads. That's not what you've been talking about, but that's just one other idea that comes to mind. But having an ordinance that requires it makes sense to me. I don't see a problem.
Brad, this is Mike. Would you also would part of that also be looking for a licensing fee?
Yes.
Okay.
If I can make a comment on Mr. Person's suggestion potentially, that is an option. It's a very controversial option. And some large company or large cities in the metro area obviously do this for many different reasons. But what it is really doing, the main thing that happens in that ordeal. Sorry, I keep moving back and forth and seeing different things on here, so I get distracted. But is that is really taking customers of mine and giving them to somebody else. 14 states in the country have already made that illegal to do that. It's called organized collection. And I think that you have a competitive process already that allows competitors to compete for the business. And one of the reasons why I suggested the higher licensing fees, so you don't end up with just a company arbitrarily saying, hey, let's try out Cross Lake today. We don't know if we'll get 5 people or 50 people. If that won't be enough, we'll be gone tomorrow. At least a higher licensing fee is a little more of a barrier, but it's not a lot if you have enough customers to pay for it. So that was just my suggestion for the higher part there. City of Brainerd's been through that process 3 times in the last 20 years and has chose not to pursue that process. Wear and tear in city streets is definitely an issue and one that I would suggest that you look at a higher licensing fee than what would normally be considered to keep that from potentially happening.
Well, I agree with you, Eric, too. I like the competition. I like the multiple companies. And I think they should all be on the same ball field. So are we looking to move?
I think we should move ahead and use the Pequot Chapter 9 regulation in their form at $100. I think it reads well to me, and I don't think we're ready to do the bidding. That's just, we're not big enough.
Brad, Person, we can only make the fee as much as it costs us to process those fees. Is that correct? I mean, we can't do $1,000 just because we want to make it.
The quick answer is fees can never be a revenue generator. It has to be matched to what our administrative time might be to administer the licensing. But this might be a bit different, and you can try to argue that there is some sort of nexus between the wear in a city street and the,
Okay.
you know, if you only have one provider that really has 5 or 6 residences they serve, and they're going down 2 miles of road to get to one garbage can, you could argue there is a reason to have another fee here. that would be different than the quick answer is a nominal fee is safer.
Okay.
So at this point, am I hearing that council is directing staff to come back with the proposed ordinance or changes to our existing one to facilitate this?
I would say yes.
Yes.
Yes, I agree.
Consensus to bring it back?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Okay.
we'll bring it back to the July meeting.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next item under my agenda is item number 2, and it's a memo dated June 2nd from the clerk requesting an application for off-sale for the ward, off-sale liquor license for the ward. Just to review, right now our ordinance, the number of liquor licenses is governed by our ordinance. And right now we have 6 liquor licenses, meaning off-sale licenses where you can go in and buy your beer and wine and liquor. So what the WARF is asking for is for us to increase that amount by at least 1 and then consider them for a off-sale liquor license. Do you have anything to add to that, Shar?
I do not. I thought Catherine was going to zoom in, but I don't see her.
Who are the 6 we have now?
They are
Go ahead.
Andy's, Barstock, Mossieries, Moonlight Bay, Moonlight Square, and Riverside Inn.
I guess my only comment to it could we, if we were to go ahead and do this, could we have it specific to the building or the location and not have it a transferable where they could build a liquor store in Ace Hardware parking lot?
You can't transfer a liquor license.
You can't move it from one location to another?
No.
No.
You can't sell them or move them.
Somebody said that like Seeker did that at Barstock or something, took a license from someplace else and used it over there. That's not true?
Not that I'm aware of. If it was in the 90s, and that's before my time.
Okay, so if we award a new liquor license, it is for specifically the wharf at their location.
Yes. And actually, the state issues that license. So, I mean, yeah, we couldn't take it away and give it to someone.
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't see a problem with it.
Their company has been with us for a long, long time here in this community. So I guess I'm more pro for it than anything.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer also. Anything we can do to help our businesses, I think is good.
Yes.
So then the question is, what do you want to change it to? Do you want to add 1 or do you want to make it unlimited? And then if someone else wanted 1, you'd have to come back to the council again.
Let's just do it one at a time, I would say.
I agree with Dave. I think if where I'm in favor of this one is it's such a long-standing business in this community. I think we'd be foolish not to support it. If it's a new business, I think we need to take a different look at it. And that's why I think 1.
I did send an email out to all the liquor license holders and received no comments. So I'm guessing all of them were okay with that too.
Okay, thank you.
I heard from a couple of them and that it was location specific was my only concern I got.
I don't know what that means.
Well, they can't move it to another location. And you said they can't, so.
No.
That answers that.
I'll make a motion, we increase the 6 to 7 and approve their request at the.
I second it, Andrews.
Okay, motion and second. Go ahead, Chair.
Herzog,
Yes.
Hecox,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
Schrupp,
Yes.
Nevin,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay. Public Works. Tad, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yep.
First item on the request is pay request number 2 for RL Larson Excavating for $59,508. This is for Daggett Bay Road and the sanitary sewer.
I'll make a motion to approve the 59,508.01
I'll second it.
request.
Okay, just one question to that. What's the balance due then after this, Ted?
3132, is that it?
Something like that. I'm trying to find it here on the sheet.
There's a retainage of 12,092.
So that is the balance due, Dave?
Yep.
Okay. That's all I have.
Are you ready to vote?
Yes.
Nevin,
Yes.
Schrupp,
Yes.
Hecox,
Yes.
Herzog,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, item B is we had a change order on the same project. We took a little more concrete to fix the 2 concrete driveways on there. Dave, do you have any comments to add?
Yeah, I think originally we planned on using blacktop mix at these driveways, but it was a better, cleaner fix to use concrete and make the approaches more gentle. So this change order would take care of the concrete work, and that amounts to $5,370.33.
What were the 2, Dave? Was it Lucy was one of them? Who was the other one?
There was a little bit down by the commercial property, their loading dock entrance off Daggett Bay Road.
Okay.
So that was the 8-inch thick concrete. They've got trucks that access that driveway. And then Lucy's was the 6-inch thick driveway.
Okay. That's all I have.
I make a motion, we approve the expense.
I second it.
Okay, Shar.
Schrupp,
Yes.
Herzog,
Yes.
Hecox,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
Nevin.
Yep.
Motion carries.
Item C, Mr. Mayor, when we were mowing the cemetery, one of the city mowers damaged some headstones at the cemetery. And we've been in contact with Little Falls Granite about replacing the headstones for a total of about $1,500. We have talked to the league about an insurance claim, and they have not approved it or denied it as of yet. So what we would like to do is move forward with fixing these headstones for the price of $1,500.
How many markers are a few, Ted?
There were 4 of them that were incidentally hit.
All right.
There was no malice in this. It was an accident.
All by the same driver?
Yes.
I'll make a motion, we approve the $1,500.
I'll second it.
And that's subject to whether the insurance company will pay for it or not, correct?
Correct?
Well, it'll be subject if the insurance company will, the deductible and help out. So yes.
Yeah. No more than 1,500.
Okay, Shar.
Andrews,
Yes.
Herzog,
Yes.
Hecox,
Yes.
Schrupp,
Yes.
Nevin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item D is we had a request from Stuart Swenson for a relief for sewer connection fees and park dedication fees. He's looking at redesigning the teen center next door here to the south of this current city hall. And what we did is we took the information that he provided to planning and zoning and gave it to Bolton and Mink, and they looked at it and they applied the chapter 50 the way it is written today. And according to chapter 50, that's the way it would be looked at for the units that he's talking about. And I think the park dedication, I'll let TJ talk to this, also looked at reviewing at it, and they applied the rules the way it's written also.
That is correct.
So both the Park Commission and Public Works applied their rules and regulations, and it's not in our power to grant relief for that. That would be a council decision.
Mr. Colstead, I've got a question for you. When the school was built, was that built under a conditional use permit?
That was well before my time. I don't know that answer, but they did at that time pay a 2 charges for hooking up to the sewer for commercial use.
Okay, but now that the use is going to change, is there any other permitting hoops you have to go through, or no?
Well, yes, they're going to need to get a variance from the city because they're asking for an increase in what we would allow for density. They're going to be asking for 2 conditional uses. One is for residential dwellings on a piece of commercial property, and the other is potentially, he had talked about renting out some of the storage spaces, garages that they're going to have for the people across the road at Sundance Ridge.
They're going to put parking or garage space for across the street, John?
That's what his original proposal was.
Can I speak or?
Sure, go ahead, Stuart.
Okay. So there's kind of 2 phases of the redevelopment of the property, and they are definitely completely separate. The first phase is to remodel the 2 existing buildings, and that's really the main reason that I'm here tonight. We're going to into the 2 existing buildings. The old school building in particular is going to have 9 villas. They range from a studio villa to a 2-bedroom, 1 bathroom. Anyhow, so between there's 9 in that building, and then in the old fire hall, I'm going to build 2 1-bedroom villas into kind of the upstairs of that building. So 11 total villas. And the way that this is, it kind of surprised us that because we're trying to use the buildings for as much value as they have. So we're not going to, there's not going to be a water meter for each villa. There's 1 water meter per building, one sewer connection per building. And what's being now proposed is that each of these villas should pay their own connection fee, a $6,500 connection fee plus a $1,500 park dedication fee. And there doesn't seem to be a precedent of any other remodeled property in Cross Lake where the use has changed and thereby has been a significant new connection fee, sewer and park dedication fee. And there's 2 parts of this. Not only is it the $8,000 per unit fee for what are 1-bedroom apartments for the most part, and but it's also the $50 per month for every one of them. You know, we were just talking about garbage, how big of a deal $10 a month extra was for a house. And this is a $50 sewer fee for villas that won't use hardly, you know, some of them might never use any. Obviously, if they're vacant, which there's going to be some vacancies for sure, you know, there's no usage, but yet it should still be paying $50 a month for nothing.
Well, Stuart, if you change the use of a building and intensify the use, which is what you're going to do, it's kind of, right? I mean, you're going to intensify.
Well, I disagree with you, Mr. Mayor, because when that school was operating, it had over 200 people in that building. And when I remodel this, and if it is packed full, there might be 30 people in there. You know, these are not we're talking 11 one-bedroom apartments.
Yeah,
there might be as few as 10, 15 people living in these two buildings.
But they didn't have laundry, they didn't have showers, they were there 24 hours a day, not 6. I mean, so there is, it's more of a use that's going in there, so.
Well, but by the city's own chart and standards, that school should have paid about 15 connection fees. And that is per the City of Cross Lakes sewer chart that dictates these units per whatever the use is. So
it was a school.
Why is that? Because what's that?
I mean, the guy built that school for the kids I mean, I don't know what happened when he built it, but the city might have given him a little favor in assessing him. I'm speculating totally on that.
You are.
But it's a school, so it's a nonprofit. It's actually, it was kind of a profit.
Well, it's a charter school.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of charter schools, they're there to operate. I mean, it's a good thing that it's a school, but we're also providing housing, which potentially would be for people that might be teachers at that school. You know, young people starting careers, retirees,
the way I look at it is,
singles.
The way I look at it is you want the city to pay for your upgrade. Not
at all. I'll be spending every dime that's going to go into that building is being spent by my company. There wouldn't be anything paid for by the city. We will continue to pay up for our usage.
The sewer would be paid for by the cities.
No, the usage would absolutely be paid for by the user. There's nothing that's being given here. The connection fees are supposed to go towards the capital expense of the sewer system. So if that building has already paid its connection fees, then what is the fee for?
Stuart, we just put
that's 65.
We just put $2.5 million into the sewer plant. Now you have an option of probably trying to hook up a septic system for your facility, or you can hook up to the city sewer, and $50 a month means that forever we have to take care of your facility there. Whether or not you're using it or people are in it or not, we have to take care of you. We can't turn you off.
Do you think that $50 is going to stay 50 forever? Because I remember when it was 30.
It's more in the cities than it is here. And we have a lot of people that go away in the winter and they don't pay, they have to pay that $50 a month, but we can't turn the sewer plant off when they're not here. I think this council is.
I have 14 of those.
Sewer plant is.
I have 14 of those across the street here. Mr. Schrupp, I have 14 of those $50 monthly charges right across the street from the property we're talking about. And the new buildings that I would build, which are also fourplexes, those will also have 4 more sewer connection fees per building. So that's another 16 on that property. So between the property at Sundance Ridge and this property, we're talking upwards of 30 sewer connection fees for my little area.
And we will need that to operate the sewer plant. I can tell you that right now. The
We have a
sewer
$2
plant
million,
is not a money-making thing for the city of Cross Lake.
over the next 2
Well,
years.
it's a
we have
major
$2 million
investment, and
outlay.
I've been a big supporter of that system ever since it started. You know, when I built Sundance Ridge 15 years ago, we were part of the reason that they brought the sewer up as far as they did, because we were going to come online with 11 units immediately, and we did that 15, 16 years ago. But you know, this is a different situation. It's turning an existing building into something that, you know, again, it's the fees you're talking about. You know, we're not going to change anything. You know, we're not adding, and we're probably not adding usage. Most likely it would be less usage based on the chart that dictates a school with that many people would have 15 units. And I understand it wasn't done that way, but I'm not a part of that. You know, and the person who owns the property and owns the school, owns the property that you're putting the new city hall on, the person I'm buying the property from, that's fine if they got a good deal, I guess. But I guess I'm still looking for some type of a precedent of this type of redevelopment. It's not fair to have a building pay. It means that the building there and the connection fees that it paid in the past have no value.
No, I think they credited you for the 2 that they were paid previously. Did they not?
Yes, we did. We looked at it that
They
he
were
was,
credited.
there's 11 units. We'd give him credit for 2, so he'd have to pay 9 more connections.
So there is a value there. There is a value. And Stuart, I think if I had a house and I was
Not as
gonna,
much as it should be, though.
listen to me, if I had a house and I was gonna turn it into a small little apartment building and have 2 separate addresses and 2 separate apartments in it, I would fall under these same guidelines and I would have to pay those connection fees. That's the way it's set up. That's the way we're trying to, you know, the sewer plant is a killer to the city. It's breaking us. So I understand.
Well, I guarantee if one septic system leaked into the chain of lakes, it would be a much more expensive endeavor to come back from. So, I mean, I know the system's expensive. It is in every city, and it needs to pay for itself, obviously. But you know, I don't think this circumstance is a time where there should be a $72,000 fee for a remodel. That's, you know, that's going to be over 1/4 of the remodeling cost.
Okay, let's close the comment. And you guys ready to make a motion?
Okay, I just ask one thing though. So if you're saying there's going to be 9 connection fees, then how many monthly fees will there be?
Probably 11 if they credit you for 2. I would imagine there'd be 11. Right, Ted?
Yes, that's what we figured. Or that's what the engineer and I figured.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and each one of those
So-
would have a meter on it.
They do have a meter on it?
Yes, they do.
Well,
it's a
where would you
commercial
put those
building.
meters?
Ted,
What's that? I didn't hear you.
Where would
you put the unit? Wherever your utility room is for each apartment, I'm assuming. And your condos across the street, they got to be in the basement someplace in each unit.
So
They're completely different though. The condos across the street are separate homes. What I'm building into these villas, they're not homes. They're, you know, it's more like a hotel or, you know, assisted living type space. These
and
aren't
those are
separate
metered
homes.
as well.
The whole year? Move in and out every week.
We could do it
Well,
like a hotel. We could meter them, and they would get a flat rate, and above those many gallons,
Yep.
then they pay extra.
They'd be
Is,
set at 11.
hotels wouldn't have a separate meter for every
I
hotel
didn't
room.
say that. No.
No, they have one meter and they have a flat rate that they play, and it's based on the estimate of how many ERUs they produce. So they could be 7, 8, 10 on the flat charge, and then anything over that they pay additional.
Okay,
So one meter.
You would
For the
have
building.
1 meter, you would get 88,000 gallons
Credit.
each month paid. You pay for 88,000
Well-
gallons each month. Anything over
Well,
that,
technically, I
then
have
the price
2
goes up.
meters. Right, they're
Yeah,
2
it'd be 2
meters.
meters, 2
One
buildings,
meter,
yes.
1 meter in each building. So that building, yeah, and I don't know, I guess these are the details that have been stumping me from the beginning, because it's a big deal. We're talking about $600 a month in a sewer fee that I probably, if it was on one bill, it would probably be 50, maybe 100 if there was a high usage month, maybe, or a toilet was running or something. But it would never be anywhere close to $600 a month. And that is a lot. You know, again, I mean, we're talking about garbage. A $10 a month difference is such a big deal, but yet this $600 a month difference is not. I'm confused by that.
okay, I'm ready to move on.
So what is the
Sorry,
proposal?
Stuart, we could do this for a week and I don't know that we get anywhere. So do we have a
Are we
motion?
saying we want to follow the ordinance and the recommendations of both groups?
That's what I would say.
So let's have okay, John, you got something to add?
I would just like to say that you need to preface this on, if he gets the variance approved, then it would be based on the number of units that are approved in the variance, which won't happen till the end of July. So you don't want to set it right now at, 11 or 27. You want to set it at whatever is approved by the Planning Commission in the meeting that they hold on July 27th, as far as the number of connection fees.
I don't think they're going to put a number in their motion, John.
Well, not a number. Okay, so it's just based on, it's a
Following the-
commercial hookup fee for each unit that is approved.
Yeah.
Okay, so somebody make a motion and then we'll tweak it.
I'll make that motion.
To
What
follow
is
the
it?
ordinance and to take the recommendation of both commissions.
Yes.
Okay,
I'll
All right.
second it.
motion and a second. All right, Chair.
Nevin,
Yes.
Schrupp,
Yeah.
Herzog,
Yes.
Ecox,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay.
Thank you, council. I have nothing else.
Okay, sorry, Stuart. Okay, Brad, I guess you're up, huh? City Attorney?
Sure. I think you have the request and I think you have the draft, not the draft, the prior contract we signed with the landowner about the rights to the dock. I can go through the history if you'd like me to, or answer any questions, but they want to redo the agreement that's on file and that was negotiated by a prior council.
Brad, where is this at? I don't know where we're talking. Is this on
Sure,
6?
I can explain it a bit. If you turn an anchor point and go down towards the end, there's a pinch point where there's water on both sides.
Okay, one's just a
A
dead
little bay on
pond.
the right.
Yeah. Okay, I got it.
Yeah. Yeah. And how this came up is years back, a property a couple doors down on the other side of the road had their house for sale and they listed it with dock rights. And everyone always assumed that dock was on public property. It came to the council. We said they couldn't do it that way. They sued the city of Cross Lake and had a creative argument why they thought they might have had the right to keep a dock there. In the end, we settled with the other lawyer on the condition that they had to keep that exact same dock. They couldn't expand that use in the future. So the dock that was there, I used to live nearby. I remember it well. It was a one section dock with one boat. And so that was written into the rules very specifically. And if you now go there, it's been 4 or 5 times bigger than it used to be.
And you've got that original documented, what it was.
You do too. In your packet.
Brad, isn't this a situation that doesn't happen very often when you have an off-lake lot that gets riparian rights for a dock?
Good question. Years ago, the city of Cross Lake outlawed that. We don't want that anymore. But they argued this was a vested non-conforming use. And again, through litigation, and the council at that time decided we don't want to spend more money on lawyer fees. Let's get it figured out, but let's at least limit that dock so that it doesn't expand and turn into multiple docks and boats. And so that was the deal struck a couple of years back. And now they've ignored that, and they challenged. They did something different. They broke that agreement. I assume on the assumption nobody's going to look or care again.
So what are we trying to do, Brad?
Well, it's up to the council. Either you enforce the agreement that's in there, or they've asked for you to amend the agreement to basically allow them to do whatever they want. So that the question, it's a policy decision. Do you want to stick to that agreement, or do you maybe you don't care? I mean, you don't care if they put 20 boats there. That's the question.
I care that we enforce the agreement we made before because it's an off-lake lot, and no longer do off-lake lots get this type of benefit.
It looks like Stephanie's trying to talk, but she has audio issues, and she is unmuted, but we still can.
Can she call in?
We can't hear you. Can you call in? Who's she gonna call, Shar?
Yeah. There's a number on the email that she got.
Stephanie, did you find a number? Did you find a number?
I believe she's calling in right now.
Now can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Now can you hear me?
Correct.
Okay. Oh, thank you. So, Brad, I apologize, but I think you're misrepresenting my request here. So, Brad is correct. The former owners of this cabin did strike a deal with the city. And actually what I'm here to do is offer something back to the city that I believe was taken away from you by the Diamond. So let me give you a little background. So we purchased the cabin 3 years ago, and that was all part of the lawsuit. Now, had we known at the time that there was a big litigation for this, we probably would not have bought this property. But so be it. Brad is correct. There is a private easement now across that parcel, and there's a restricted use agreement across that parcel. So when we purchased the property 3 years ago, we started making friends with the neighbors and things like that, and we realized that the point of the restricted use agreement is a lot of my neighbors and people on Anchor Point because that restricted use and that private agreement came into place 3 years ago, right before we bought it, they've now lost a major access point for snowmobiles onto Rush Lake. And we didn't realize this the first year. We kind of figured it out over the last couple of years as neighbors have come to us and asked us if they can use, snowmobile over this parcel. And frankly, even John Kolstad has gotten a couple of calls this winter. So yes, so point one, there's 3 changes in your document that I wrote up. The first one is that I think we should put language into the restricted use agreement that says whoever owns lot 3, no matter who it is, if it's myself or if it's someone down the road 5 to 10 years if we sell the property, that owner would have to allow public access to snowmobiles in the season across that parcel. Because frankly, it is way too dangerous for snowmobilers to go all the way down to the public access because it lands in the channel. And frankly, the geese kept that channel open almost all season this year. And it also makes sense, it's a little bit safer of an access point for snowmobiles to come up this property, head down to the right, and then they can get to the Bourbon Room right down Anchor Point. So what I'm here today is to say, I think we should add that language back in the restricted use agreement that was put into place by the prior owner. Now, also, in exchange for that though, I want language changed so that it's not a single use, but it's docked to accommodate a single family. Now, we don't rent out the property. We don't have a VRBO. We've put substantial improvements into not only the cabin property, but also this parcel. And you can see the photos where we've taken down tree removal at our own cost. And we've never billed the city for that. After they improved the road, there was substantial changes that needed to be done because they left this giant divot. So we went to the city, we got a permit, and we brought in fill to make that smoother, again at our own cost. And then we have complied with the docks for the last couple of years. My father gave me a fishing boat, and I have an 11-year-old son. And that's why we expanded the docks this year. Everyone we've talked to has been supportive, but there's been one complaint. So that's why I'm here today. I think it makes sense to add these 2 changes into the restrictive use agreement. And I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how we word it. This is just suggestions in your document package. And then the third bullet point is pretty simple. It just eliminates the language of where you store, because the way it's written now, we would be required to store the docks where it's actually the best access point for the snowmobiles in the winter. So now, in advance of this, I talked to John Kolstad just to confirm that he had been getting calls over the season about the snowmobile access. And I also talked to TJ to say, okay, is there anything you want me to add in? What else should we think about when we think about this as an access point? Because I think to eliminate the calls to John in the winter, to eliminate people feeling like they need to ask us if they can drive their snowmobile over this, because our docks and stuff are there. I asked TJ, I said, well, what if you come out in the fall and put the little mini snowmobile signs on there, and we put some tape and it makes it obvious and it gives something back to the community, which frankly, I feel like they lost with the way this was written with the private owners. So also in your documentation, now I'm not sure who went and took photos of the property, but there is a mistake. The last photo is it's like a bad trailer. That's not ours. That's not on our property. We take very good care of this. And frankly, I wish my neighbors to the north and south took care of things as much as we put our heart and soul into this. We've been vacationing across Lake since we were children. This is our first vacation home. It's our first cabin. We're super proud of it. But I'm asking for some accommodation here. And frankly, I think it doesn't cost the city anything. And I think it gives something back to the community that was taken away 3 years ago when all this lawsuit stuff happened. And that was before I owned it. So thank you for allowing me to say my piece.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. I'm gonna just comment on that. Yeah, I'm looking at this picture here. I'm looking at those two jet skis. They could really tuck in behind the dock by that bench. And you could get it down to one
We
dock.
could do that.
So,
Well, but what do I do about the fishing boat that my father gave me? Like, I can pull it in and out, but frankly, it's going to be parked. But this, I guess this goes back to, well, we're not always going to own jet skis. I have, 3 children. At some point, I'm probably going to cash everything in and get a pontoon. But I just wanted the language so it says restricted to one, like a single family. I'm not out there to build a marina. I'm not out there to, like I said, VRBO this out and have people bring their big power boats in. This is for my own family use, and I have 3 children, and we want to be able to use the property.
well,
Can we accommodate it a little more? Sure, but the intention of the language that it's written now is so we don't have to keep coming back and revisiting it. It's just something that's within reason.
Okay, let us talk about it for a little bit here. So I would say a single family is 1 dock, and most people have 2 boats, and whether they have a jet ski or not, but I mean, that's kind of normal single occupancy on the thing, which I could see her doing very well with that 1 dock and the 2 boats on it. The bench, I think the jet skis could fit behind it. I would kind of go along with that. I'm opposed to the second dock.
Dave, if I could interrupt one moment.
Sure, go ahead.
Keep in mind, whatever, that agreement has to be rewritten. And if I'm remembering right, there was quite a bit of time put in on this a while back, about 4 years ago. And it was evidently, unfortunately, to this lady, this family, the information was not conveyed to them, but it is their responsibility to find out what it is and what they can do. And it's obvious that they figured it out a couple of years ago. So I think we also need to keep that in mind.
Yeah, no doubt. But what's a reasonable use? I mean, that's kind of, I don't know what we agreed to 3 years ago. Brad, can you kick in on that?
It's G1 in the packet, Dave.
Yeah, it's not ambiguous. Our lawsuit was to say they could have no dock because it was not their land.
Okay.
And to be honest, the city was quite generous to allow it. I'll read it to you if you want, but it's very clear language and they're just ignoring it. It says the installation of a single dock, including a legal size platform
So
at the
Brad,
end, with a depth of 6
Brad,
feet,
it's
do
also
not
complaint driven.
Can you put her
and
on?
including 1 boat lift or mooring space for not more than 1 power boat. It's very clear.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
And it was quite a deal back at the time.
yeah.
And again, this was a concession because technically they should not have been allowed any dock or boat. They do not have a lake lot. So this is not, now they're asking for more. After they sued the city and got what they wanted, now they're asking for more.
Yeah.
Wait,
Okay.
I didn't sue the city. That had all happened long before I owned it. I had nothing to do with the lawsuit. Absolutely 100% nothing to do with the lawsuit.
I understand.
And
but
I'm insulted, Brad, that you put it that way. That's just rude. And I come here not asking for a handout. I'm asking for public snowmobile access to be written into the agreement. So whether I own this property or somebody else owns lot 3 in the future, because this prescriptive easement goes with whoever buys that cabin, I come with a reasonable win-win situation that does allow snowmobile access to to all of Anchor Point.
But we don't know.
And
We have never heard any complaints about snowmobiles, and it's a dangerous thing to start creating a new on and off ramp on the lake for a snowmobile. I think that's something the DNR has to get involved in. And I know that you've talked to some of your neighbors, but I would say that there's going to be other neighbors that will not appreciate that.
So Brad, I got a
been
question.
using it that.
Stephanie, yeah. Brad, is this part of legal documentation that was recorded with the property when she bought it? Did she see it?
It was recorded with the property. The buyer is well aware of it. There was no misunderstanding.
Okay.
Then I say that's what we stay with.
Is that a motion?
I make that motion.
I'll second it.
Yeah. Okay, we got a motion and a second. Go ahead, Char.
Nevin,
Yes.
Herzog,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
Ecox,
Yes.
Trupp,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay,
I have a question.
go ahead.
Based on that and the administrative fines that we have that could be imposed, what it says in our ordinance and what you guys have agreed to for the fines is that they would have 2 weeks to remove the extra dock and the extra boats that are on the dock. Otherwise, they could be subject to a fine of $75 per day per violation. Do you want me to pursue that at this point?
Yes.
How long has this been going on, John?
It started this spring. I don't know how long it's going on, but at this point, we would say they would have a 2-week period to remove the extra docks and extra boats.
Yeah, well,
I agree.
yeah.
So thank you. I will proceed with that tomorrow.
Thank you, John.
Okay, any new business?
I guess I have a question. I don't know if it's new business or not.
Okay,
But since we've been shut down at City Hall, I kind of feel like I'm in a mushroom where I'm not hearing anything, any activities that are going on, meetings that could be effective to us. I know we gave Mike the right to make decisions, but I think some of those decisions that are being made are not being passed on to us so that we have the knowledge. And I would like to see something start taking place. I'm opening up for discussion.
okay, so back in the day of the COVID development, things were moving real fast and we did authorize Mike to make the calls.
Yes,
Correct?
we did. Yes.
Yeah. And this.
But we've never had reports, anything, and I guess that's what I'm starting to get concerned about is what action has been taken basically in our name that we're not aware of.
No action has been taken in your name that you're not aware of. Everything has been fully disclosed, either on the website or at our council meetings.
Okay, but you're not having meetings with people on anything or anything?
We're following the guidance of the CDC, and we're using Chip Lohmiller to help us with the protocols that we're putting in place.
Okay.
It hasn't changed.
It just felt like I assumed there's conversations on something taking place that would, because if we're not, we're missing out on a whole bunch of time here.
Right. We've run Public Works. Public Works we ran on Zoom, I believe, which worked.
Parks and Recreation we ran on Zoom.
And I've received a few questions from businesses about the COVID-19, and I'd forward those to Mike and to Chip, and then I think what we're doing now is let Mike and Chip answer those questions. I did answer one of them, with the best we could do based on, and a lot of those were from the Pequot decision, the way they voted to open up early. So, but I think all of our projects from Public Works the big ones are up and running for the year. Is that right, Ted? Where are you, Ted? Oh, there he is. I think we got all the projects.
The only project that hasn't started is the storm sewer project on Manhattan. And Perkins Road is in process. Daggett Pine is just about completed. And the road that you live on is been tabled for the year, so.
Yep. And with respect to that, Ted, on our road, there's a few cracks that are really bad. And I'm kind of noticing when I drive down the road by the library, it's getting the same kind of cracks.
I'm working on a different product that has more filler in it.
Perfect.
And I'm seeing how it works before I go purchase a bunch of it, so.
Anyway, Aaron, to add to your comment, I agree with you. I stop in City Hall to sign checks occasionally, and there's not a lot of information shared. So maybe there just is no information.
Okay,
Is there
well, I'm gathering
something,
that.
I look.
Is there
forward
something
to the meeting.
specific you don't feel you're getting that you want, that you feel hasn't been provided?
or
Well, I
that
don't
you
know what's
heard?
out there. Have you had any Army Corps conversations about use for the new park?
I have not, no,
None.
none.
Okay, all right, well, that, I thought we were gonna pursue that a couple months ago, and, you know, that was kind of a hot burner, because we're building a road to the park, and we don't know how we can use it, but there should be some conversations.
The road is development driven. It's not specifically to get to the park, Dave. And we talked about that at a previous meeting.
Originally, it was specifically to get to the park. Now there's I guess, development. I haven't heard of any development. There are some potential development, but I haven't heard of any, but.
Property owners that live there.
I would think that TJ probably he's got his hands full, getting things back and running. And I thought we had some discussions at one of our meetings where we thought we would get the road in and installed and then go over and talk to the Corps.
I think I must have missed that meeting, and I'm not really aware that I've missed many meetings that I've been notified about. So if that's the case, I missed it, but.
That was my understanding too, David.
That
we do
weren't
the
gonna
road
pursue
first.
anything until after the road was built.
And there's also a list from the 70s describing what people foresaw happening with that park. So there's already proposals laid out from the past about what should happen with the park. Remember, we had the bicycle trail issue and a whole bunch of other stuff. So
You're right.
those have been laid out in the
With the
past.
present, communication with the present is kind of a key element to that, and if
Well,
that's put off till after the road is done, I'm in disagreement with it, for one thing, but I think we should pursue that. And I thought
Go for it. You can do it.
I cannot make a unilateral call on my own, John, so that's why
Yes,
it's gonna be by.
But you can have the council, request the council to meet with Corps or have Public Works meet with the
Actually had a
Corps.
conversation with TJ about it. We have talked about it a few times, but.
Oh,
There's
okay.
been no motion made by the council to direct staff to go forward with that, Dave.
All right.
There's been no unanimous decision.
Okay, well, I think it's important, but apparently nobody else does. That's fine.
We'll make a motion and maybe it will go.
I make a motion, we have some negotiation with the Army Corps and see what the possible uses for the park are.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Yeah, all right.
Can I make a comment? I don't think we have to negotiate anything. We just need to understand what they'll allow us to do.
I think you're right.
Well,
We're not spending yet, so.
I think Corinne is an approachable woman, but that's okay. Well, then we should get a list of what we can do. You know, we're spending a lot of money to get someplace.
Right, but you know, the other thing you might want to consider is we've got this virus thing going on and she may not want to talk to anybody right now. You have to be respectful of.
No, I actually have talked to Corinne quite a few times, and she is definitely willing to talk to somebody if somebody approaches her. Nobody has, including myself, because once again, I cannot do that on my own. And I respect that, and I haven't done it, but I think that it needs to happen.
And just to be clear and on the record, I have been waiting. I have not received any sort of council motion to pursue the Corps about this topic until this time. So that's why there has been no action. So
Okay, so let's be clear on the motion that we're gonna pursue some conversation. I've told you, TJ, that I wanna be a part of that. I don't know if the council will agree that I be a part of that or not, but I would like to be on that negotiation to talk to her. But I think it should move forward, so we should know what we're doing.
Maybe we should just invite her to the next council meeting and she can talk to the entire council at one time.
I wouldn't do it that way, but if that's the way you think it should be done, I wouldn't do it that way. I'd go have some coffee or something and have a soft conversation, but that's the way I do things. So whatever the council decides to do.
There's actually a motion and a second on the table now, I think.
Correct.
Okay, so can you revisit that motion for me, John? I believe you made it.
You made it, Dave. And it was
Nice.
to negotiate with the Corps.
And I seconded it.
Oh, okay. Okay. And I guess if I could add something, I'd like to be a part of that negotiation, and if the council chooses to do it at a meeting, then state that. I don't agree with that, but state it if that's the way you want it to go.
I accept the modified motion from David.
Can I just, you know, I hear the word negotiation and it scares me to death. Can it just be a fact-finding meeting to find out what they would let us do?
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. The
know,
word
I-
negotiate was probably wrong because we're not in a negotiating position.
Right, yeah.
You're-
And
I
I'm
agree.
all for it. I just think we got to find out, because we've, to what John was saying over the last 20 years, there's been all sorts of things that have been said, but we don't know which is true.
I asked Corinne about 2 months ago. My question was, Corinne, has anybody ever approached you to talk about the possible uses to the park for the city? And she said, no, nobody has ever approached her to talk about it. So that was my conversation. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to try to see if I can push that forward so we can do that. And
How
that
long
was
has she been? Does anybody know how long she's been over there in her role?
5 years. 5 years, I think.
You know, John Henke was here for almost 20 years, so he probably talked to her predecessor at one time, so.
Well, I can't believe he didn't talk to her, but anyway, that is the answer she gave me. You know, right or wrong, I'm not trying to defend it, but that's the answer she gave
No,
me.
it's a good thing.
As a council, we better figure it out because you're going into budget meetings, and if there's going to be anything done down there, it's got to be put in the budget. So
I
as a
think it's
council,
crazy.
we better figure it out.
$500,000 on a road and a beautiful $150,000 bike path going nowhere. And we don't have a clue what we're doing. I don't get it.
Well, what do we, what,
Motion to do it. The only thing I added to it is if I could be part of Talkador.
You guys
And
need
John-
to explain in this motion, all you said is a fact, negotiate with the Corps. Who's gonna negotiate with the Corps?
Well, I've offered that I would do it, you know.
You by yourself?
Me and
It takes 2 council members.
PJ's on the Park and Rec. It needs 2 council members.
It should have 2 council members.
Okay, well,
And I would suggest it should be Dave or John because they're going to be around in 2 years. The rest of us don't have any idea where we're going to be in 2 years,
Oh, okay.
including you, Dave.
I'm sorry.
I said, including you. You don't know where you're going to be in 2 years.
Well,
You
I
know,
hope
if
you're
you're
going to be
mayor
around.
or
I don't know
whatever.
where,
Only 2 people that we know for sure are John and Dave for 2 years.
I guess I'm okay if you want me to go talk with TJ.
I would
But I
like
don't-
to be part of that, but if Mr. Hecox doesn't think I should be because I might be gone next year, that's his choice.
I didn't say you shouldn't be. I'm saying you shouldn't be the only one.
Well, I didn't say I should be the only one. No, Schrupp, do you want to do it? That's fine. Or I don't care.
John's on the Park and Rec.
Yeah.
No, I'm on Park and Rec.
Or,
I'm at Park and Rec, Dave.
I get it. I'm okay if anybody wants me to talk to Corinne with TJ. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
And bring
so,
something back so we got something going before budgeting.
Yep.
well, I would love to do that, but so I'm going to do that motion that Mr. Schrupp and myself and TJ go and have a meeting with Corinne. Is that okay?
Yep. It's fine with me.
It's fine.
I'll second it.
So that's a motion and a second. Shar, go ahead.
Schrupp,
Yes.
Herzog,
yes.
Hecox,
Yes.
Nevin,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, anybody got any other new business? Any old business? Go ahead, John, make the motion.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion, oh, Paul, did you have something you wanted to say? No, okay, see you later.
Waving goodbye.
All right,
Good to see you.
Have a good one.
all right, see you later.
Yep.